Hey there. I just wanted to do a quick video that I'm not sure if I'm even going to put on YouTube, but I kind of just wanted to remember it. Um, so I did a journey for myself because I have a healing session that I'm doing for someone tomorrow with a modality that I'm newly trained in. And so I was like really nervous about it, and I often get that way even with modalities that I'm familiar with and I've done plenty of times, and it always turns out great and I always feel great afterwards, and so do they. And so I was getting a little annoyed. I was like, why do I always feel so nervous? And I get like, oh, I need to study my notes and I need to like do this and that, and it like consumes my mind for like a day before I perform a healing session with someone. And so I wanted to do a journey for myself today, and so I got into my journey state, and I went in there and I asked how I could get to the point where I'm confident in my healing skills so that I don't have to waste so much time worrying about it. And then my power animal, Shira, she's a big white wolf, she started like digging at my heart and like tore it out and then just like threw it away. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is a dismemberment, and I'm open to that. Like, yeah, tear apart the way that I'm seeing something so that I can see it in a different way. But also, I'm here for something specific. So can you answer my question, like, what can I do to feel confident in my healing skills so I don't like have to just always feel like I'm at this point where I'm like never gonna be the expert at what I'm doing. And it's just like really frustrating. I don't know if it's just like part of my nature or something to just think that I don't want to think that like I'm not good enough, because that's not what I think in general. I think I wouldn't be doing sessions with people if I thought I wasn't good enough. But just to never think that I'm like expert enough to just freaking relax about it. And so when I repeated the question to her, I everything just kind of looked black. And then I saw like my other spiritual allies come in, and I was taken to different times in my life where it like stuff was just really hard. It was just like times in my life where at that point in my life it would have been like, oh, this is the hardest that I've the hardest my life has ever been. And I went to lots of different places, grade school, middle school, all these times when I was going through something really hard, and it often was at a time where I needed to make a choice about something. And I felt like I knew what was the right choice, but I was just so like, how can I choose that? Like, I don't have the resources or the courage or whatever to choose this thing that I feel is right. And so it took me back to like, you know, when I was depressed and kind of suicidal at one point in my life, and to another point in my life where I had to like call off the wedding to my first fiance, and like all these things where I was like, okay, I'm getting like the feeling that this is what I'm supposed to do, but how am I going to do that? And then I noticed that like that feeling of this is so hard, how am I going to do this, felt the same no matter what the situation was or no matter how old I was, but it was for lesser and lesser things as I grew up, you know, like from, you know, wanting to kill myself to needing to break up with somebody to needing to move somewhere else to needing to quit a job. Like it was like less and less that should be alarmed about. But the way that I felt about it was like, how am I going to do this, was kind of similar. And I heard my ally saying each time we moved to a new situation, they'd be like, wow, look at that baseline. And I realized that they were talking about the baseline of what I was allowing myself to put up with. like, and so it was sort of discouraging for a second. I was like, wait, I thought it's like you would think that the more you go through, the easier it would be to deal with the trials that come up. And on one hand, that's true, because if it's a trial that is similar to the one before, yeah, you know the decision, you know what you have to do, you're like, I've done this before, I can get through it. But if it's something else that is making you redefine what you're good enough for, even though it's at a lesser stakes, you still get like that feeling of like, how can I do this? So I started thinking, I was like, so what does this mean? Like, maybe I need to take time in between like my accomplishments to be like, oh, look at my baseline, look how far I've come, which is something that I have thought about before. So I was like, but I kind of already know this. And then she proceeded to rip out my brain and throw it away. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm analyzing this too much. Just like, go on with it, show me. And then she ripped out my voice box or my throat right after that and threw that away too. So I was like totally empty here. And I was like, okay, all right, so show me what's next. And then she went to the top of my head and she blew out like my top three, well, here, chakras. And she blew them out with like a wolf howl, like, oh, and then it just went like, and I was just like, all clean. And then I felt like the emptiness of it and how I wasn't like, inhabiting that space really. And then I felt a really nice, like, something filling me. It was like light and it just felt like relaxing and nice. And then she was like, I needed to get you out of the way because this is where spirit fills. This is where spirit goes. When you're doing the work, you don't need to be here. Spirit comes through here and does the work for you. And then I remembered that, you know, sometimes when I get comfortable with other healing modalities, I don't worry quite as much depending on the modality, because I'm like, oh, I've done this lots of times and I have faith in spirit, to like, I'm open to just let spirit come through and make what needs to happen. And so she was kind of like, yeah, you've had that faith before, so why don't you have it now? And I was like, well, because it's new. I don't know the process by heart. Like, I need to like study my notes and look at the steps and make sure I'm not missing anything. Like, this one is like a big deal. It could be risky. It's not easy like the other ones, which were like, you know, to me, they're sort of like beginner things now that like you can't do any harm if you mess up, you know. And she was like, she told me she was like, okay, well, let me put something into perspective for you. If you were, when you were, like when you were a shamanic apprentice in another life, you didn't have notes. Like, you just had to follow around the person that was teaching you for so long and, you know, take notes in your own head and, like, memorize stuff. And if you didn't remember something in the middle of a healing, you had to just have faith and ask us. You had to ask us, your allies. And you can still do that. Like, if you don't remember a step, if you don't remember this or that, or something doesn't fit with what you think you were taught, like, we're here and you just ask us. That's what you did before, or that's what you would have done before. And that's what you do now. And it's like, I kind of knew that, and that's what I do with other things, but it just felt like really reassuring today. And of course I'm still going to read over my notes, but I don't feel I feel a lot calmer now. And so I guess I just wanted to like remind myself and maybe remind you of the message that, like, if you're all hyped up about something, not like you're not sure if you can do it, just know that like you've prepared as much as you can. And even if you think that that's not true, you've prepared as much as you have. And what's going to happen is going to happen. But the thing that will change it will be like having faith in the present moment when you're doing it, that it's getting done in the right way because you have faith in what you're doing, or what your allies are doing, or what spirit is doing, or what God is doing for you. So, it's a pretty simple message, but it just felt like really profound to me. So I wanted to share that if you ever get stuck or you don't know what to do, there's just check into the present moment and know that you have help, you have support, and they know, Spirit knows, God knows, what all that is knows everything, so it can help you no matter what the moment, no matter what's happening in the moment. All you have to do is tap into the moment and declare that you have the faith, and you can be the channel to see what needs to happen for the most benevolent outcome, or whatever your intention is. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.